Okay. Okay. So Tiffany, I'll go second.
I can go.
Okay, Lisa, after Tiffany.
I can go third or fourth or however many that is.
Okay, so I'll put our order over here. So me, Tiffany, Lisa, Megan, and then Annette. Okay, so I just interviewed the place where I'm doing my internship. I interviewed the kids place director at the family place, and I asked her what led her to get involved there. And it's a nonprofit organization, and she said that she started there as an intern and didn't really know that it existed in our community until she did her internship. And then after working there, she kind of developed a passion for helping children and families, and so she applied to be a full-time employee there and kind of worked her way up to be the director of the kids' place. And I asked her what were the most prevalent problems for families in the community, and she said a lack of community resources for families, a lack of funding for programs that help families. She said that domestic violence is a big problem in our community, and sexual abuse is actually an even bigger problem than that. So, oh, okay, Tiffany, I got your message. Hopefully you can hear us still. So I asked her, how does the family place help children and families locally? They educate in efforts to prevent family problems. They have education programs for children and adults. They do social skills workshops. They have the respite nursery where they teach kids social skills and stress coping skills. They educate in the schools about sexual abuse. They have a good touch, bad touch program. They have a crisis nursery that helps parents who are in high stress situations. It gives them a needed break so they can rejuvenate and be better parents. And they do therapy there, and they do some outreach, community outreach types of programs. And so the question was, do you feel your organization is child or family focused? And it's definitely family focused. They have a little bit for both parents and children and families together. And their mission is actually to build strong families. So definitely a family focus there. And they do this through education and the services that I mentioned, and they step in to help families through therapy. So families that aren't functioning well, when they've kind of hit that mark, they can step in and help with some therapy. And then the two questions that I came up with was, the first one was, what opportunities do you provide for members of the community to volunteer with your organization? And they have volunteer opportunities to work in the children's nursery or to help out with some of the classes. You can volunteer to help with events. They have a group called Circle of Friends that's kind of a group of people who help plan events for the center. And they have service projects, and they actually just finished up a service project for the family place. They're moving to a new building, and they had a service project where people in the community could come and help build a playground for the new center. So I actually got to go and be a part of that. It was pretty fun, and good to see like some of the community members coming out and local businesses. And then my last question was, do you partner with any businesses in the community? And she said they try to work with and refer clients to other like-minded businesses, like CAPSA, which is an organization that helps abused women, and they have a Logan Family Center. So they try to kind of work together and refer each other, refer people there as needed. And she said they also have many individuals from local businesses on their board. So from Utah State University and the grocery stores, hospital, police department, that type of thing. So they try to work with businesses that are in the community. So that's all I've got. So Tiffany, I guess you're up. don't know if we lost Tiffany.
I think we lost her.
Okay. I'm going to send her another invite.
Should we just have Lisa go while we're waiting for Tiffany?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did we lose Lisa too?
No, I had to unmute.
Okay. Everybody's gone.
No, I'm here. I told the kids specifically nobody goes on the internet during my class time. Okay. So I interviewed someone from the Mazda Speech and Language Development Center. Her specific, in my head I'm saying calling, but it's not what you do in the workplace.
Job?
Yes, job. She's a child development therapist. And then, so I asked her the questions. She got involved with the Speech and Language Development Center because she was actively looking into getting back to work. She was widowed last year. So she was forced. She wanted to incorporate her education. And she has an AA in early childhood development, a bachelor's in child development with a minor in psychology, and she has a master's in education. And then she has a lot of, she's worked as a social worker prior to having children. So she kind of wanted to stay where she kind of knew, and her children are still young. They're 6 and 8. So she just kind of wanted something to be a little bit more flexible than a regular 8 to 5 or 10 to 6 or 7 job, whatever the different times are. So just working as a child development therapist really helps her out. And so next question, what are the most prevalent problems for families here in the community? Because of her line of work, she said uneducated families really is one of the biggest problems. Since she deals with a lot of Hispanic families, the men particularly, and it's not, since I grew up in Samoa and Hawaii, it also kind of applies to Polynesian families. So I think it's just a lot of different cultures. Like the men are the head of the family, and there's a lot of pride, so they're really close-minded, and they can't really see that their child has a problem that would need some help. So she wishes that the families were more educated. You know, if we get your child the help that they need, then they can, you know, they can flourish. They can just grow up and start learning like everybody else. She does wish that we could offer more classes to help educate the parents on the needs of their children. Since she works with she does occupational therapy with the kids. How it helps families, children and families. She does work one-on-one with the children, and the families are supposed to stay and watch so they can continue the therapy. It's kind of, she, you know, tries to teach the children how to do just different things, and as long as the families can continue that behavior throughout the week or weeks, however long it is until she comes back, then you can see progress. It's probably like my child's speech homework that she gets, and she won't improve unless I help her and do her practice with her. So do you feel the organization is child and family focused? And yes, she does, because it forces parents to sit down and watch their child's therapy session so that the parent can then implement it into their family life. She said she even has parents that will set up like the video camera and stuff, or just record the session audio recording and stuff. Some parents are busy taking notes during the session so that they can continue the therapy on their child. And usually the parents that do that are the ones that realize that it is helpful for their child. So one of the questions I asked her, I said, with parents more protective of their children nowadays, you know, like helicopter parents and stuff, I said, do you think that the community plays an important role in a child's life? And she says it definitely does. So the community still does play an important role because it encourages the parents to take the kids out. So the local libraries have the different programs. They have a story time for the kids, and you know, taking the kids out into public situations, the mall or church and stuff, you can then ask your children different questions so that they can communicate back to you and continue that way. I also asked her, how does the economy shape a child's family life? And she said the family's economy, for the therapy that she does, she said it doesn't matter because all the therapy is available for free. They go through the regional center. They get cases from the regional center, and so they get the children the help that they need. If they have insurance, then it goes to the insurance, and if not, then if they're low income, then they would qualify for the free services anyway. And she really likes her place of work because they just try to get the kids the help no matter what. And I'm done.
Okay, I think I have mine up and running now on my phone. So am I going next? Is that correct? Is that...
Yeah, I think
Okay.
we skipped to Tiffany, so if you want to go, and then Megan can follow you, that'd be good.
Perfect. And I apologize, my internet just keeps cutting out, so I think with my data on my phone it should be better. So let's see. So I actually interviewed, I kind of went a different direction. And so I actually interviewed a woman in my ward who works with people with disabilities and their families. And so she's a qualified intellectual disabled professional, or sometimes they're also called support coordinators. And from my understanding, talking to her in the past, she works, instead of working specifically, they used to work for the state, but now they're considered independent contractors, but she reports to the Division of Services for People with Disabilities, or the DSPD. So you guys will probably hear me talking about that a lot. That's what that is. And so when I asked her how she first got into it, she talked about how she has a background in social work. And so she had been working with, let's see, the DCFS, and and her ex-husband had said, been working with the Utah State Developmental Center, and said, they're looking for a support coordinator you should interview. And so she went over, and they really liked her, and so she's been working there for 16 and a half years, and she absolutely loves it. She loves working with people with disabilities. And so the biggest thing that she saw with families in the community is, as far as what she's dealing with her area of expertise, is that individuals with disabilities, they age out after age 22 in school. And so after school, if they don't have any other work or anything else that they can do, they're kind of stuck. And so they can't really progress in life. It's very difficult for them to get jobs and to find, ways to be involved in their community without help. And so individuals that have DSPD, they have they ended up being able to have help. Let's see. Basically what they do is they basically come in and make sure that they help them get jobs and give them a support coordinator and kind of help them throughout their lives. And people without it, like she talks about her own stepson, he's turning 20 this year and he doesn't have funding, and so no one will hire him, and he's not able to work, or other people are not able to work, and they have to sit at home all day. And so a big problem is that while the DSPD helps some of these people and can get them out working in the community and get them funding and stuff like that to be able to enjoy things, their waiting list is super long, and so people are on the waiting list for years and years. And she also talked about how transportation is a huge issue. But those who receive the funding, they get a Medicaid card, and it supports, and then other supports federally that are matched with the Medicaid, and it's a lifelong service. And families are able to support their children in their home and hire others to come in and care for their disabled children so that they can receive a break from their child's constant care needs. And so that's kind of how they help the family. It helps the individual to be able to be taken care of and to be able to go out in the community, and it also helps the family to kind of relieve some of that workload. And so she talked about how it's definitely family focused, because even though they're mostly helping the individual with a disability, they're working to try to keep the family together. That's their first priorities. They want the family to care for the individuals in their home, and it's more so to help give respite to the parents so they can receive a break from those needs, and then so that they can feel more refreshed and be able to keep the children in the home long term. And so I asked her about what kind of community resources are available, and I'm in Utah County. And so she talks about Friday's Kids, Family to Family Network, and Camp Costopolis. And all of those are resources that they use. And then she talked about, I'd asked her, I said, community resources used to help individuals with disabilities are normally focused on inclusion and rehabilitation. That's something that I read about in the chapter. And so I said, has that been what you've come across through your work, and can you give examples? And so she talked about how the Disability Law Center, through the Family to Family Network, is the best for inclusion. And they do a conference every year, actually, for families with children with disabilities. And they have other resources that they use to help families and individuals with disabilities. And so it's kind of advocating for kind of a different crowd. It was kind of very briefly mentioned in our book, but I thought that was interesting. So that's kind of mine.
Okay, so it's my turn, right? Okay. Well, I kind of had a hard time getting in contact with anyone, but I finally got in contact with someone from the United Way. Let me just pull up my stuff. Okay. So I talked to someone, and they said that they got involved through the college school board. And one of the most prevalent problems they see is child development and poverty. How do they help children and families locally? They help children and families by providing volunteers, tutoring, reading programs, and community resources. uh, they definitely feel that the organization is child and family focused, especially since they do give resources and volunteers and do reading programs and such and stuff like that for families and children. I asked, how do you feel about advocating for children and families? And I didn't get a super long answer. They just said that they love it, and they said it makes it all worth it, especially the time put in. I asked what type of resources are available to children and families, and they have on their website different resource guides, and some of them are children and youth resource guides, and then also family resource guides. And some of the resources are like Community Health Connect, Kids Cause, Utah County Health Department, Volunteer Care Clinic, Canary Gardens, Family Support and Treatment Center, Wasatch Mental Health Family Clinic, National Runaway, Rocky Mountain Care Foundation, Kids on the Move, Baby Safe Haven, and then WIOA, and then obviously they have a lot more, but that's all I got.
All right, so it's my turn. All right, so I talked to Tim Penrod. He's the owner of the Child and Family Support Services, CFSS. He was a counselor, and he started, and he was on a committee for the Maricopa County, because the Arizona was getting sued because they didn't have a wraparound mental health care program. So that means that they, instead of just looking at the individual, like if you get, if CPS orders it or if a court orders it, it's not just working with the individual, it's working with the whole family. So, so he decided to quit his job and start up this company. He says, what is the most prevalent problems in the community today is uncoordinated care, because everyone's getting a different piece. Like the court can order different things, and so the psychologist isn't talking to the other things that they have to talk to. So so again, it goes back to the wraparound care, and it goes back to the systems theory about having the whole family get counseling as well, just not the one child. And so I thought that was kind of interesting, because we're actually studying that right now in our system, or my theories class. We're studying the family system. Let's see here. How they get paid is through the primary who gets signed up. So if it's the child or the parents, if it's the parent, it would be through CPS is where they get paid. If it's the child, if it's some sort of deviant behavior, then it's through the court system. Let's see here. This is a thing from his little pamphlet that he gave me. He says, we specialize in providing support services for individuals and families with emotional and behavioral or developmental struggles so that they can live safely and successfully at the home. Our services also focus on coordinating and helping provide the support needed to help individuals return from formal out-of-the-home service settings, such as hospitals or treatment centers or group homes, back into the community. Our support is community-based, but not office-based. We work in family homes, schools, local community centers, and other places that are the most natural settings, because we believe this is where we can be most successful. Rather than providing services only during traditional office hours, we work when and where families need us the most, and that includes, he said, early mornings, weekends, and holidays. so he really has liked starting up this business. So anyway, that's all for me.
Okay, I think it's cool to hear what people are doing in our field, because sometimes I wonder, what can you do in this field? So it's good to see that there's people helping families in their communities. So I think that's kind of fun to hear about your interviews. So I guess is that it for today? I can start a Google Doc as soon as we end this, and then if everybody just wants to add their it's weird. I don't know. Do we just want to kind of each just do a brief, like highlight some points from each of our interviews in our summary?
Yeah, I would think just maybe like a paragraph or something and just say kind of the highlights of what exactly, who they work for, what they're doing, and maybe what the resources are. That's what I would think.
Okay. I think that sounds good. Then I'll get that started and send you guys a link, and then we can just put that on the discussion board when we're done.
You already do so much. Do you want me to do that real quick?
Yeah, that'd be great if you want to do that.
Okay.
That'd be
Yeah,
awesome.
I'll send that out real quick.
Okay, that
So with
sounds
Google
good.
Docs, do you just add? I've never done it with Google Docs. How do you do Google Docs?
Let me stop this.